Good evening, y'all. So I'm back again with another video to discuss how we can protect our children from harmful messages that are being spread, over the internet, such as this lady that was talking about a solution, apparently, that she came up with, which, by the way, when I dropped the link to the original video that I'm speaking on, y'all would just have to watch the video for yourselves to understand why I'm just trying to choose my words carefully on here, because I don't want to violate the community guidelines on here. Also, I do understand that they have a lot of children that be on YouTube a lot, so I try to choose my words carefully. That's not to say that I will use profanity. I'm not talking about those type of words. But I still try to be mindful that they have children on here, so I understand that it's levels. It's levels to what you say and how you say it. But anyway, so I watched this video from this other content creator that I've been watching a lot lately, just to gain some insight on just how spiritually sick a lot of people are, and they don't even realize it. And I say that to say that this lady, a white lady at that, which, listen, disclaimer, I do not care about race, which, to be honest, I think that the only true race that exists is human. Because we all bleed red. We all have stomachs, intestines, you name it. We all have the same body parts of a human being, whether it's all men of different shades, all women of different shades. So, listen, even though I'm saying it was a white woman, I'm not throwing her ethnicity out there, to shame her based off of her ethnicity, okay? Not at all. I don't care about none of that stuff. All that stuff is man-made anyways. So, which isn't real. Because that's what man-made stuff is. It's not real. And all it does is it causes so much of chaos and dysfunction. And it's just like, listen, we all are human, okay? But reason why I'm mentioning her ethnicity is because it just goes to show that your ethnic background has nothing to do with how spiritually sick you are. It doesn't matter if it's somebody that look like me, somebody from overseas. It doesn't matter. Anybody can be spiritually sick. Okay, this is a people problem. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. This is a people problem. And so I say that to say that I was watching this video by this other content creator, right? Where they had this Caucasian lady. She was basically giving a whole lot of women, or basically just sharing what she thinks would be a good solution to a lot of problems that we experience, such as the crime rate, such as single motherhood, such as, just any statistic you can think of that has had a negative impact on a lot of us as citizens, right? And so she said that babies who are boys at birth should go through a mandatory vasectomy. She said that would solve so many problems that we have in America. whether it's the crime rate, single motherhood, STDs. But the thing is, how exactly would babies who are boys at birth getting a mandatory vasectomy, how exactly would that solve these problems? Because when you think about it, ma'am, you're failing to mention that a man cannot have access to a woman's body unless she give him permission. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. A man cannot have access to a woman's body unless she allows him to have access to her body. It's just like when you go to someone's house, somebody that invites you over for dinner. Do you just walk in straight into somebody's house? No, it doesn't work like that. You knock on the door or you ring the doorbell, which grants you access to that person's house. But that person has to unlock their door in order for you to be able to step foot into their house, which is how they are giving you permission or allowing you access into their house. That's exactly how it goes between a man and a woman. So we would not be able to have babies without us women giving men access to our bodies. Also, let's get a little bit scientific. Men carry the X and Y chromosome. Women only carry the XX chromosome. What exactly does that mean? That means that men carry seeds that produce boys and girls inside of their reproductive system. I'm going to say that again. Men carry seeds that produce boys and girls in their reproductive system. Let that sink in for a second. Okay, next. Why? Because we got to make this make sense, okay? It's stuff like this that just, it makes my stomach turn flips. And it has me shaking my head because I'm like, this don't make no sense. This is why I say all the time, we have to be careful what we promote on these platforms before we just go to speaking. We got to be careful. We have to think about what place are we speaking from, because, ma'am, what you're saying, it makes no sense. And I don't understand how she could even allow something like that to come out of her mouth when she comes from a man. We all come from our dads. None of us come from our moms. We come from our dads. Our mothers safeguard us so that we can be born into the world safely. I'm going to say that again. We all come from our dads, but our dads trust our mothers to safeguard us until we are physically mature enough as babies to be born into the world. So our mother's wombs nurture and safeguards us so that we can be delivered safely into the world. That's what our mothers do. But we all come from our dads. Whether we are boys and girls, men and women, we all come from our dads. So it's like, ma'am, when you say that boys who are baby boys should receive a mandatory vasectomy at birth, ma'am, do you know that that's going to end the human race? If that was to be done on a grand scale worldwide, that would end the human race. That makes no sense. And that is very dangerous. And I'm speaking on this because we have children that be on these platforms all the time. All the time. This is why we have to protect our children from harmful messages like this. Ma'am, you are very spiritually sick for you to say something like that and you can't even see it. How would your dad feel to come across your video saying that? If you have a son, how would he feel when he come across your videos saying that baby boys should have a mandatory vasectomy at birth? That will solve so many of our problems. Who hurt you that much, ma'am? For you to say something like that, for you to think to that extreme, to say something very evil and ill. How very spiritually sick are you? If you have male cousins, male friends, how would they feel if they were to come across your video and hear you say that? This is why we have to protect our children from harmful messages like this, man. Because it's harmful messages like hers that can stick to their subconscious mind, and it could cause, for an example, our daughters, right? It can cause our daughters in middle and high school to think that, you know, especially the ones that's gone through trauma. Because I'm not going to say majority of young girls. A message like hers would mainly definitely speak to a young girl's trauma. A young girl in high school, in middle school and high school, who has been through trauma where they were misused and abused, exploited by a male family member, or a male that they trusted, that knew the family for years. Her message would definitely speak to young girls in a situation like that. Because the only thing I can think of is, ma'am, you're speaking from a place of pain and anger because of a man or a male figure that you once trusted in your past that hurt you so bad that you developed resentment and hatred towards all men. That it just drove you mad, so mad to the point where you felt so motivated to promote a very harmful, detrimental, destructive suggestion to a lot of young girls and young women coming up after us that they don't actually need from you, ma'am. Because all it's going to do is it's going to, like I said, hurt the human population, which works outside of God's original purpose for us to reproduce. What are we teaching our kids? What are we teaching our kids? When you have stuff like this floating around on the internet. My thing is, the numbers for the crime rate wouldn't be so high if the numbers for single motherhood wasn't so high. I'm just being honest. And this is coming from a mother, but I'm going to speak the truth. I'll say it again. The numbers for the crime rate wouldn't be so high if the rates for single motherhood wasn't so high. There are more single mothers than married mothers. There are more children that are growing up in single mother homes than in married homes. This goes back to what I said in the beginning. A man cannot have access to a woman's body without her permission. Which means there's a whole lot of power in a woman saying yes or no. So, in all honesty, your suggestion, ma'am, no, not valid at all. It makes no sense, and it's very, very, very dangerous. That's a very dangerous suggestion to give young girls and young women that's coming up after us. So instead of her promoting what's actually healthy and what's actually going to be productive by explaining to young girls that's coming up after us to, hey, abstain from sex until after marriage. Wait until after marriage to have sex. Instead of her promoting healthy messages like that, which makes so much more sense, and which would definitely bring the numbers down for single motherhood, and it'll definitely bring the numbers down for the crime rate, it'll definitely bring the numbers down for abortion, it'll definitely bring the numbers down for STD rates. Instead of her promoting a healthy, reasonable message like that, she putting all the blame on the males. Ma'am. I'm just saying, what makes more sense? What makes more sense? Having baby boys getting a mandatory vasectomy at birth? Or teaching our younger generation to wait until marriage to have sex? Wait until marriage to create families? Where when you wait until marriage to create a family, there's security for everybody, especially the children. You don't have to worry about compromising your mental health because of having to go to the clinic and check to see if you have a bacterial or viral infection that then compromise your immune system. You don't have to worry about compromising your emotional well-being because you're spiritually attaching yourself to so many people that are, fighting a lot of demons, fighting a lot of trauma, fighting a lot of hurt, a lot of pain that is beyond your understanding and that they have yet to receive help to heal. You don't have to worry about compromising your spiritual well-being. You're living with, regrets because you know that waiting until after marriage is the right thing. It makes sense, it's reasonable, and it's the safest route. It's the only safe route to take. But yet, instead of this lady promoting to the younger generation of young women coming up after us to not fornicate because fornication, it births the statistics that we have for STDs. Fornication, it births the statistics that we have for abortion. It births the single motherhood stats. It definitely can contribute to the crime rate that involves a whole lot of juveniles being tried as adults because they are mentally and emotionally unstable because they're not growing up in a two-parent home. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So putting all the blame on males, no ma'am, does not work like that. It does not work like that at all. No man, most men do not force us to allow them to have access to our bodies. Doesn't work like that. So a man cannot have a woman on her back unless she makes a conscious decision to lie on her back and open that door for him. We as adults, we have got to do better so that we can give our children better. We've got to do better. Got to do better. Got to do better. Starting with not bringing your delusion and your confusion and your pain and your trauma onto the internet, because when a woman speaks, when people, period, come onto the internet and they're promoting messages that's coming from a place of delusion and confusion and their pain and their trauma, that is very detrimental and dangerous for a lot of our children that is on the internet a lot, that be on YouTube a lot, especially when it's young adults. I'm talking about even 16, 17. When it's our young ones who are approaching adulthood are on YouTube and they're genuinely searching for good advice that's going to help put them on the right path to what's productive, to what's healthy, and what's going to create peace and prosperity for them, especially if they actually do have a desire to create a family one day. I can't do nothing but shake my head. Because I'm just like, I can't believe this lady really just said that. Really just said that baby boys need a mandatory vasectomy. That would solve so many problems that we have in this country. Lady, what is wrong with you? And you know that don't make no sense. You know that don't make no sense. You heard. You heard and the lady, she looked old enough. She looked old enough to be somebody's mama and borderline grandma, and you talking like that. Come on. What is really going on? Whatever happened to older people giving words of wisdom, passing down wisdom to a lot of us younger people? Ma'am, that just don't make no sense. Huh? She know that don't make no sense. Come on. What? Come on now. Come on. She know that don't make no sense. I mean, because think about it. Would it be right for a man that's hurt, that has not healed from his trauma, and he is stuck in his delusion and confusion, to get on the internet and say, I think that baby girls should get a mandatory, I don't know how to say it, y'all, so I'm not going to say it because y'all going to laugh at me. But y'all know that term for when doctors remove a woman's ovaries. Remove a woman's ovaries and her uterus. That surgical procedure. If a man that has not healed and is allowed himself to become stuck in his delusion and his confusion and his pain and his trauma from, either his mom or his auntie, or a female, an older female figure in his life that misused and abused him, or from a few women that didn't treat him right and misused him. If a man was to get on the internet and say something like that, man, do you know how many women would come for his neck for saying something like that? Do you know how many women would be like, who hurt you? How you feel about your mama? How you feel about your grandma? How you feel about your sister? What about your female? Because I'm just saying. But come on now. Come on. Oh, especially my favorite part right here. A whole bunch of women would say, if it wasn't for your mama, you wouldn't be here. Which, yes, that's true. So my whole point is this. It takes a man and a woman to have a baby. Okay? But the thing is, see, where we got it messed up at, we think it's the man that start the process. No, we women start the process. Because again, a man cannot have access to a woman's body without her giving him permission first. That's exactly how it goes. And I don't want to hear about the few exceptions to the rule. Oh, well, what about, the women where it was taken? I don't want to hear that. We got to stop doing that too. Stop trying to apply the minority to the majority. It doesn't work like that. Keep the minority of cases where it belongs, the minority. We have to go based off of the majority of cases. So in most cases, men do not put a gun up to a woman's head and force her to allow him to have access to her body. We know that. So we got to stop. We too old to not know better. We too old to not know better so that we can do better. Our children need us, man. What are we doing? Our children need us. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to, call it a night, because I do have to get my son prepared for school, and then I have to take care of a few important things tomorrow after I put him on the school bus. So I'm going to end this video with, this message. A whole lot of young people that's coming up after us wouldn't be so chaotic and so dysfunctional and so confused if it wasn't for a lot of grown-ups that are confused, delusional, dysfunctional, and still holding on to trauma from 15, 20 years. So no, baby boys having a mandatory vasectomy, that's not going to solve these problems I just mentioned. What is going to solve these problems is that a lot of grown-ups need to grow up. And I'm not afraid to say it. A lot of grown people need to grow up. A lot of grown-ups age haven't caught up with their mind yet. If you're 30, you're still 15 in the mind. Still 15 in the mind. If you're 40, you still 20 in the mind. If you 50, you still 30 in the mind. That's the problem. That is the problem. The obsession of wanting to be young forever, because of the fact that you're subconsciously holding on to regrets of not using your youthful years properly the way you were supposed to, such as abstaining from sex until marriage, having babies out of wedlock, I mean, it's kind of too late to fix the past, but I will say this. You can definitely fix your present and your future. So, by us as adults fixing our present and our future, that's also how we fix our children's present and future. I can't stress that enough. That's all I have to say about this topic of discussion. I don't have nothing left in me to talk about this, because to be honest with you, I feel like I'm going in circles at this point, because this just don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. It's terrible. This is terrible what we've come to as people. This is terrible. Man. Like, how a lot of grown-ups are really spiritually sick out here, man, to say something like that. Anyways, I'm about to go ahead and end this video, y'all, because y'all have a blessed night. Please stay safe out here, because this spiritual warfare is very heavy. And as always, we have to protect our children and help them preserve their purity. We have to. It's too much of I'm trying to choose my words wisely. It's too much of things out here that is actually designed to destroy our children inside and out. And boy, Satan is busy. Baby boys should have a mandatory vasectomy. That's the devil's work right there. I'm calling it for what it is. That's the devil's work. That's why he attacking our children harder than what he is on us grown-ups. Because if he can get to our kids at a higher rate, at a faster pace, do you know what that'll do to the human race? Come on, we got to talk about it. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video on that note. And I'll see y'all next time.